Um, okay, so let me just take a quick look. Okay, Dante, I believe the secretary is not going to be available. Will you be able to take notes?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. All right then. All right, I think you can begin recording the live stream. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening for our executive committee meeting for Brooklyn Community Board 9 for December 2023, the last exec board meeting for 2023. I hope everyone is having a wonderful, blessed, and pleasant holiday season. We have a few items that we need to conclude the year with, but as we say that, we still have a lot of work that we need to get done in this upcoming year, the second half of the board year, if you will. Please note for the record, we convened at 7:08 p.m., Dante. Okay, and at this time, we are going to proceed with the agenda with the committee chair check-ins. So let's see. If we could ask Mr. Amanor, do you have any reports for Parks, Recreation, and Culture for this month? Mr. Amanor, are you there? Okay, he might not be available. We'll come back to him. Transportation. Mr. Norville, do you have anything for transportation for this month?
Hey, for this month, we didn't have our committee meeting, and so I don't have anything extremely new, but it's mostly going to be just reminders from our November meeting. We have potential traffic agent coming in on January. We have Commissioner Brage from the River that January too from DOT. And we basically want to just see if we could finalize some of our previous in the January board meeting, if anything, and get some of those through. So nothing new.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And I did also want to also highlight, I think that is very important that one of the reasons why we didn't meet this month is because we felt it was very important to make sure the transportation commissioner for the borough was here. So we were able to get a commitment for him to come before the transportation committee for January. So we definitely look forward, especially I know there are a number of transportation issues that we would like to have addressed. So people are definitely invited, residents and board members are invited to come to that January transportation committee meeting. Are there any questions? We can take two quick questions for the transportation chair if there are any right now. Okay, hearing none, thank you very much. We're going to move. I do see our ULURP chair, Suki.
Good evening.
Okay, go ahead. Do you have a report?
Sure. So we have a couple of voting items. The 975 Nostrand Fresh Supermarket authorization came up. This is something where the Department of City Planning gives a little bit of extra height and density to a development in exchange for providing a fresh supermarket, which in this case was the Associated Supermarket that community members had fought to have come back after it was closed when they started developing the property with an apartment building. So there are criteria on which it can be denied. For example, if there's already other supermarkets in the area, or if it would unduly obstruct light and air to nearby developments. However, because the incentive is essentially voluntary for the developer, if the extra height density are denied, they also don't have to give the supermarket. And I think the consensus of the committee was the community wants the supermarket, so we approved the authorization. But there is a 45-day comment period. It's not an automatic thing that the Planning Commission approves it. The second voting item, so we would like to pass that resolution on to the full board. The second voting item that we have is on the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity text amendment. this is the second in a series of 3 citywide text amendments that are essentially overhauling the entire zoning code. The idea is to get stuff done, to remove obstacles to doing business, to development. And it's really, I mean, our take on this was it's really upending the traditional zoning rules, allowing the mixing of manufacturing, retail, and residential in really unprecedented ways, things that could possibly be hazardous or cause nuisance or, you know, reduce the quality of business corridors for our residents, given that we're basically a residential community with local retail corridors and a little bit of automotive and manufacturing, which we prefer to keep separate. Um, and so we had several subcommittee meetings to discuss these text amendments. There were 18 sections to it. So we came up with a resolution addressing each of these 18, which is what city planning asked us to do. It's quite long. But we're asking to put that through to the full board. The ULURP committee had initially sent it back to the subcommittee, had approved it, but then sent it back to the subcommittee to be summarized, which we did. One of our members helped work on that. And so the subcommittee last night voted on the summarized version. And the summarized version essentially is like lays out our position on each of the 18. I think Mia should have sent it on to you guys, but if you don't have it, does anyone want me to like read this out? I think economic development in their minutes also has like a very brief summary of our position on each of those things.
Let's see. I don't believe. Well, let me ask. Have the members of the executive committee seen copies of it?
We received an email, I believe,
you
about
too.
2 hours ago. Yeah,
Okay. all
maybe
right.
maybe later, maybe earlier than that today.
At two,
But we have it in our inbox. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's the very long version. In addition, the gaming facilities text amendment was released this month. That's another piece of the economic development issue, but it was released separately. So that's something that would permit casinos of unlimited size in C4 through C8 and manufacturing districts throughout the city. And it would not be a ULURP approval process. There would be a 6-member commission consisting of local elected officials and mayoral appointees. You're probably aware that there are proposals for casinos in certain locations in the city. For example, in Brooklyn, it's in Coney Island. There's one in Flushing and Times Square. They're not in our district, but at the same time, the zoning text amendment does not name specific locations. It just makes it possible to have a casino in C4 through C8 districts. We do have a C8, a tiny C4 district. We have a C8 district, and we have an M1 district. The committee just felt that not only was a casino unlikely in our district, it just wasn't appropriate anywhere in our district. And, you know, we think that community boards should be part of the approval process if that were ever to happen. So that's what we had to say about that.
Has the committee voted on that? Is there an official vote, or are you still considering?
Yes, we voted at the subcommittee on that one.
Okay. Has that gone up to your ULURP committee yet?
That has not gone up to the ULURP committee. Oh wait, you know what? Actually, yes, it did, because that was part of the long form resolution that we submitted to the ULURP committee. And then the ULURP committee was like, this is too long. We want it to be summarized. But so one of the things that we did was we broke it out separately because it was released separately. So yes, it was voted, the substance was presented to the ULURP committee and voted on by the ULURP committee.
Okay, so is that a recommendation you want the board to consider this month, or what's the timing on that?
Okay, so the gaming
I
test
believe
amendment was released on the 27th of November, so 27th of December, 27th. We only have until the 27th of January. So yes, I think that we need when I don't know when our general meeting is going to be in January, but it'll be cutting it very, very close.
I was going to add that I think we have that in our inbox as well. We received I believe four pieces of documentation. Dante, correct me if I'm wrong. So I was able to read that as well. I'm just checking the email now to see exactly what was in there. But Dante, maybe you can hop in.
I mean,
or
to be
Mia.
completely honest, I don't think the casino. I think it's highly unlikely that there will be any proposals for a casino in the near term in our district. This is just, covering ourselves.
That is, there's a proposed resolution on gaming facilities, so we do have that,
Yeah.
and it's short.
Um,
So
what I mean is like the resolution on the gaming facilities covers a wide variety of zoning districts throughout the city, but the actual casino proposals that are on the table, the actual bidders for casino licenses currently are not in our district. And it's not likely it would happen in our district in the near future, but you never know. Like the discussion that we had at our committee was we could start to have things like numbers operations or off track betting or something like coming back. And I think nobody felt like that was appropriate.
Okay, all right. Now, Dante, can you confirm? I believe we do have another board meeting prior to that, correct?
Yeah, the board meeting in January will be the 23rd of January.
Okay.
I mean,
All
you
right.
can push it to, we can push that one to January if you prefer. I just think there's not very much to say on it. And, uh, you know, yeah,
Okay. No, I mean, and I only hesitate because, especially for something like this, I'm not sure if there are other, I mean, I guess, you definitely, mentioned that there are not any foreseen effects that happen for the board. I'm also interested in terms of the board making a statement with respect to the citywide impact that might have. So even if it doesn't necessarily happen to us, we might want to be concerned about the neighbors as well, and what some of those impacts would be in terms of, yeah, they like casinos because it brings jobs, it brings things, but it also brings other things, other things to bear as well. And I think you definitely take the point well, where it's like, that is something that really should be a conversation that happens within communities, and perhaps
yeah, I
our
mean,
statement that we have, states something to that effect.
yeah, like our basic thing was don't cut the community boards out of this.
Right.
Um, I do not know what the position of communities, in Manhattan are. There are places in Queens where these racinos already exist. I don't know what their position is, but they have as much right as we do to say what happens in their community, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I'm not sure. I haven't heard too many other people, too many other boards weigh in. But it might be something where I think even if we coordinate that a little bit in terms of standing in
Yeah.
solidarity with those districts that are affected or potentially would be
Yeah.
affected with that. All right. So we can consider that. I mean, I see that you have the resolution. We can
I'm
look at
willing
that,
to
and
hold it
especially
if you prefer, since we're going to be meeting before the 27th, but
okay. All right.
what's I have, like, you've heard from the borough board, I have not, so that's
Yeah. Actually,
up
this
to you.
hasn't been before the borough board either. So this
Okay.
actually would be hopefully something I might be able to get some information.
Okay.
I can check to see if it's on the agenda or if they can get some kind of some feedback. I'm not sure if it's from DCP or whoever's putting this out, where honestly it's like I always feel bad when they don't come and address boards with this, because I'm thinking that, okay, well, listen, this is something that they should explain their rationales. Why are they making, why are they looking to this route to do this? What is the rationale for excluding boards on this one? Do they think it's an efficiency thing or whatever else? But I think it might be helpful for us to even see if we can get some DCP to come in and explain that as well, if there's something that we're missing here. and include that as part of the our rationale in terms of that.
Okay. Okay.
All right. No, but thank you very much for the work that you've done on that. All right. We took a little time on this one. Are there any questions for the ULURP chair? We can take a couple.
Hi, Suki.
Hey.
First, I just wanted to say this is really good work and like a lot of work coming out of your committee. So like kudos to running an efficient and productive committee. Second, just a question, which would be about the supermarket. I just didn't want to make any assumptions, but I believe that you're basing the like food desert off of like lots of conversations that have been had at food desert clearly, but the kind of want for the supermarket in the community. Like where did that come from? Was it? Yeah, thanks.
Right. Yeah. So, I apologize for not including it in the resolution, but this had come up 2, 3 years ago, Fred. This was before the pandemic, when this supermarket first closed, and there was a lot of, concern about it. What can we do? What can we do? And I think we even attempted to pass some resolutions about the supermarket and how we didn't want it to be closed. And so ultimately, the sole solution that city planning has to this problem is to offer this fresh zoning incentive. So that's where that comes from, I guess.
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, that was part of that conversation. And I think one of the concessions that was made was that, yes, I think the original proprietor of the Associated was able to get it put into the whole building, that they were going to get that additional space. Now, the fresh part of it is something that I guess the building is looking for, because by giving that additional space, they're able to give that concession to the supermarket, for increasing their height as well. I think that, it sounds like your committee's reviewed it, and it's a fair trade-off, I guess. It's not something that's excessive, that's gonna, really, that's out of the context of the neighborhood, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, we heard from one person who said she lived nearby, who was like, I'm basically like, it's not that we're not in favor of the supermarket, but we just wish that we didn't have to make these trade-offs. But that's really the only tool that is offered by city planning to guarantee supermarkets. So, I mean, not even guarantee, but just to incentivize supermarkets, because they are, they can't necessarily pay, they're not necessarily as profitable as other types of businesses. So this is something that comes up a fair amount in a lot of communities. And so this is a program that the Department of City Planning offers in certain areas that you can elect to have it apply in your district, that they can be offered these zoning incentives in exchange for a fresh food supermarket.
Okay, no, thank you very much. I do see one hand that is raised. Well, are there any other board members who have a question? Okay, I do see one attendee that has their hand raised. We'll give them an opportunity to ask a question with respect to this. Dante, would you be able to please promote, I guess, is that Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
If you could promote her so she can ask her question.
Okay.
Thank you. And after that, we'll move on the agenda.
Ms. Barnes has to accept the request.
Okay.
Okay. She's coming in.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Ms. Barnes.
Okay, yes. Ms. Barnes, 40-year community resident. My question is about the 975 Nostrand Avenue, former Associated. The developer is saying if extra height is denied, then the developer will deny the supermarket. How much extra height is the developer requesting, is my question.
Um,
I'm sorry,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Fred.
But my understanding is there's a bonus they get for having the supermarket there. But it's not like, okay, they can double the height of the building. So there's a bonus that they get for doing that. And a part of that, I think there are conditions about the supermarket they get in terms of the pricing, what the pricing is compared to everything else around there. It's supposed to be some affordability levels in there. That's my understanding. Stuki, does that sound about right? Or do you have anything else?
Yeah, it's a fixed bonus of up to 15 extra feet.
15 extra feet, which is approximately 1 extra floor over our current zoning.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much for the question. Thank you very much, Suki. So we have 2 action items. That's the 975 and the City of Yes Economic Opportunity Text Amendment Resolution. Correct?
Yes.
right.
I do have one other thing, but I'll wait, especially if you're going to have public safety speak. I'll raise it in connection with that.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you. Okay, traveling around the room, I do see the chair of environmental protection. Evening, Ms. Timothy. How are you doing? Do you have a report for the committee for this month?
Debbie, you're muted.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Gotcha. Good
Happy
evening.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
So we are, as a committee, we are looking to make a recommendation to the board to bring the service providers, DSNY, DEP, and all the service providers to present to the board so that we can get a sense as to what is the proper protocol in terms of, how things, dealt with, given the current situation with the garbage all over the community, the drainage problems. I think that it will be good that every board member is well aware of what the protocol is in terms of the services that they provide to the community. I mean, I've walked the community just about every weekend, and to look at some of the drainage where the leaves are just embedded in there, and God forbid we should get a lot of rain again. I mean, that's all we need. So I think things like that, we need to really know exactly what we should be doing as community advocates to deal with this situation, other than having to go there and probably pick it up ourselves and put them in garbage bags and things like that. It's even the garbage cans that's on the main service area. You look at it and you see, I mean, the cans are not clean, they are not, they're open, they're, it's terrible, it's horrible. So as a committee, we would love, for the board to have the service providers come before the board at one of our general board meetings. We can schedule them, as soon as we have, a good sense as to, how best we can do that. But I think it's a good idea to, for all board members, not just the environmental protection committee. It would be good for us to know in terms of dealing with the parking issues. Mr. Herbert sends tickets, all the time. So there's a lot of things going on, and I know that there's a lot of political stuff going on in terms of service and all this stuff, and cut back and freeze and all that. But at the same time, these things need to be dealt with. It's a dire need out there right now when you walk and you see these things, the pond and the leaves, it's terrible. So yeah. So as a committee, we would love to see that happen, not just at the Borough Service Cabinet meeting where most of us are not attendees, and so that we have a sense as to how the process goes, and who we need to reach out to get these things moving. Sometimes you send one thing to one person and, it's like it takes with some of the tickets that Mr. Herbert has been, speaking about. It's like, you read some of the emails and the responses that you get. It's like, is anybody working in those agencies? How many vehicles do they have, that, you have to wait so long for them to come and remove a vehicle? It's a lot of stuff that, we need to try and move the process. And, it would be good to have that, see that happen, so that, the board members know, how best to address those things. And, we are pretty much trying to keep track of, all the different issues and concerns that's, going on in the community. So, we are going to try and do what we can to make things move along, because, this is not a good situation right now. That's all I have for tonight. If anyone has any questions, I see Teresa has her hand up.
Sure, hold on a second. Ms. Westerdahl, we'll get you momentarily. I think the one suggestion that I have, or the one request that I have as well, is if you have specific questions or issues, if you could create that list and give that to the district manager and myself, because that's going to help us in terms of focusing what the areas are and kind of identifying who the responsible agencies are. One thing that I picked up when you had mentioned it was, like, for example, when it's abandoned vehicles or cars or tickets or anything like that. Depending on the circumstances, it may either be a sanitation thing or it may be an NYPD thing. But it might be helpful to convene those agencies to kind of, so that way, to your point, as a community board, we can, amongst ourselves, and we can also address to the community in terms of what are the best ways of responding to these issues when we have them. And I think there's an importance of they need to hear it as well, because I think it's easy for them to go on to 311 and check off boxes and complete tickets. But I think that the district deserves to know, what happens to these things when they go through? And at what point is there accountability? If there are delays, what are the delays and how long does it take? But I think it's that lack of an answer that we don't get that's problematic in the district. But I thank you for that, you and your committee for that. And if you could send that list of questions, and we can start that process of figuring out how we can best convene that. Dante, did you have anything you want to say towards that, or?
Definitely creating a list would be helpful for the agencies. The reason I say that is because agencies have departments, and so you might need a specific department to come out. Most of these agencies don't work the way that you think that they work. Some of them have specific public affairs units, so things have to run up specific ladders to public affairs, and public affairs, those are the individuals that actually interact with the public. So they may not even be the people who are actually on the ground. So the specific questions would at least allow us to ask for the appropriate people from the agencies to come and respond, because we don't want someone to come and represent who's going to be unable to tell us the process, right? So if your committee could create that list, send it to Fred and I, and we will send it to the respective agencies.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Dante. Okay, so we will take a couple of questions for the EP chair. Ms. Westerdahl, did you see your hand up? I see your hand was raised.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I want to bring up the in retrospect to environmental protection and other public safety. A lot of committees as well as agencies are involved in the situation that's happening on Bedford Avenue, Sullivan Place, and Empire Boulevard. There's been numerous complaints from the community, and those complaints were not followed up on, and they resulted in a pretty devastating situation that continues to be dangerous and impactful. Recently, there was a scaffolding collapse when we had the storm and the rain because of the cement pouring and the runoffs. There's a big flood on the corner. The water couldn't go down because the cement is blocking on the corner of Empire And Bedford, I did send some pictures. I made some reports. Some other neighbors have made some reports. We've been making reports for almost a year. And since it's obvious that what's happening there is unsafe and dangerous. We've had how many street collapses? I wrote to Dante a couple of times, and I brought it up at the last meeting, requesting that he said he was getting reports from that situation, and I asked that he send them to the EP, to Nicola Cox, my Block Association president, since we are on the street, myself, and I have yet to see one report that he said was getting them last time at the last meeting frequently. And I'd like to know what's going on down there. It seems like it's cleaned up, but in the middle of the night, they come with pumps and they pump out the sewer. And then there's a big flood, and you wonder, like, what is going on there? And then the scaffolding that went up looked like, what the heck is happening? That doesn't look good. It looks completely different from the other scaffolding that's around the other construction in our neighborhood. And it was a very, very dangerous situation that's happening right now over there. I saw the DOB over there. I don't know what's going on exactly, because I had other things. I've got some family situations I have to deal with, but I'd like to know, like, what the follow-up is for the Department of Transportation, Environmental Protection, for the DOB, because things are getting ignored and unaddressed. The FDNY shut them down again. This is the second time the fire department, FDNY, has been there and shut them down and said they need more supervision. But that's not happening, and nobody's following up, and it's not getting taken care of. And it's frightening, because this is a hair bringer for what is going to happen when the COI goes through. Our agencies are not protecting us. This is dangerous, extremely dangerous.
Okay.
What we need to follow up with this, please.
No, absolutely.
I'm looking for some help out there.
No, absolutely. Well, Dante, did you have anything on that one? Well, actually, did you want to address that now, or do you have anything to address as part of your DM's report?
I'd like to say something about it now.
Okay, go ahead, please address.
Yeah, so I definitely have reported out on the Bedford Avenue situation. I believe at one of our previous meetings, you sent me an email about sending an email to Nicola Cox. Resend me the email, but I also want to make it clear that Nicola isn't a board member or a resident committee member on this board. So you sending me an email telling me to send an email to someone who's not on this board is not a priority for me, as you can imagine. Now, if I have the email and I missed it, I'm more than happy to send the information to Nicola to let her know the updates that I received from DEP regarding Bedford Avenue. Also note that all the elected officials who represent that area were also on the emails regarding Bedford Avenue. So it's not just me. I'm not the only one with the information. I'm not the only one that needs to provide updates. There's also elected officials who are all on those emails who can provide those updates as well. I reached out when I heard the information, reached out to DEP. They were pretty good at sending back updates, typically daily, but sometimes it would be in between, about what happened there. Anyone who wants to know
could I see those? Could I see those? I asked you last time to send them to me.
Ms. Westerdahl,
please, can I see them?
Ms. Westerdahl,
can we all see them?
Ms. Westerdahl, let Dante
Ms. Westerdahl, may I ask you a question?
Dante, please.
No, look, I want to know what Ms. Westerdahl is going to find in the information.
Dante, just complete your answer.
Information.
Finish your answer, and then we're going to move on.
She knows what she's doing.
Dante, finish
your answer. I know what I'm doing. What do you mean?
Ms. Westerdahl,
every committee
order of the day. Dante, have you completed your response?
It's completed.
Thank you. My understanding
I just want to know what's happening down there.
Ms. Westerdahl, hold on one second. My understanding is, I want to make sure, Ms. Westerdahl.
Oh my gosh.
Please. Again. Yeah, oh my gosh, that is correct. Let people speak. Now, my understanding of the situation on Bedford is, and I think that we may need to have some additional conversations. I think there's a conflation of a bunch of things. The collapses on Bedford were not necessarily due to the construction. It's because there is aging infrastructure in the district. Those are sewers that collapsed, and that impacted other things, which caused that whole thing that happened on Bedford Avenue. If there are safety and building issues with respect to that construction, that is something separate that can be dealt with in terms of, I believe Dante's actually, you sent out a request about the building, correct?
Yes.
So there are inquiries that are out I'm not sure what the status is with those, but there are inquiries out with respect to the building and if there are any safety issues going on with that. So those are being addressed. I know I have seen some of the reporting coming back, and basically they were letting us know that, okay, well, this is the steps that they were in. First, the excavation, and then there was pumping that needed to be done. They needed to make sure that the equipment was safe, you know, the infrastructure, the electrical infrastructure was safe, and they did all those things. There was additional work that they are doing. Understanding now that's this is an additional development with respect to if there was a collapse because of the rainstorm the other day. I'm not sure how much you can foresee that because I guess there's a whole bunch of infrastructure damage that's happened because of the rainstorm, but the district office will get additional information in terms of what's being done by city agencies, and we'll communicate that out as necessary. Okay, but that's being looked into. I'm sorry, hold on. Suki, we'll see you, and I'm sorry, Ms. Westerdahl, we have to move on because we spent some time on this and we do have to complete the agenda for this evening. But there are updates.
I would just like to see the reports. Can I just see the reports?
Okay, well,
And I'll forward them to
office,
Nicola and anybody. I just would like to see them. Are they being withheld for some reason?
there's nothing.
Ms. Westerdahl.
Okay, Dante, don't even. We don't need to. There's nothing being withheld from the board. The board is working. The district office team is working. They're taking care of it. All right, Suki, we'll take your question and then we're going to move on.
Teresa, I just want to suggest that if you see an immediately hazardous situation related to the construction, that you call DOB's BEST squad. That's BEST. You can look it up online. They're the, and push them to come out immediately. That's, how you can get it shut down.
Well, the fire department and the DOB both were there yesterday and shut it down, but this has happened before and they just go on.
Is the site padlocked?
They put up yellow tape.
Okay.
They need
I don't
to
know about
padlock the
padlocking.
site.
I'm not going anywhere near it because it looks
okay.
It's scary.
There need to padlock the site and there needs to be a stop work order.
And
there is one on the.
Okay, listen, we're having a lot of conversations. We're getting into the weeds with respect to this.
This is important. This is a bad situation.
Yeah, it is. And I'm saying
we need to work on it together.
And I'm saying is, and the district office is going to get that information. What I thank you for is thank you for alerting us to that. And that's what I always encourage for all the board members and for all residents to do. If you see those conditions, report them to 311 or report them to DOB, but simultaneously do that and also report that to the district office. So that way we can follow up and we have the answers, because we're a little bit behind in terms of if we don't know the issues or the conditions exist, it's hard to respond in terms of what's being done. So that's why when you make those reports, please continue forwarding those to the district office and they can do the appropriate follow-up to make sure that whatever is being done with that, and that'll be relayed out to the board as necessary.
I'm pretty sure I sent it, Dante.
Okay.
I hope you got it.
Okay, address the chair, please. It's going to get taken care of. There will be a report back out.
Okay, Fred, I sent them, Fred. I sent as many as I could, but
No, nobody's saying that.
What more should I do? I mean,
you've sent it, so you got to give the district office an opportunity to reach out and get that information.
But I think the thing is how can we make sure that they're when we see something that looks like, hey, oh, that looks like not a good construction, and then it's like 3 days later the whole thing is blown over, and the one down the street looks much better. They've got the cross.
That's the accountability we can have with between the respective agencies. But that's being worked on. There will be additional information that will go out with that. Okay. I apologize, but we need to move on in the agenda. We just need to make sure we're able to conclude. Okay, so we saw environmental protection. Thank you very much again, Debbie, for your report. Do we have a report for public safety?
We should. Janelle should be here.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a lot of work.
All right. Is there any information? Okay. All right.
They have those much needed 5 SLA applications.
Yeah.
Okay. So they have SLA applications that are out.
Yeah.
These are the same ones that we pushed from last month, correct?
Yeah. I believe some of them were pushed from last month. And even some, maybe even the month prior to that.
Okay. She's not here. We'll put a placeholder for public safety. And Dante, I'll probably need the information from you in terms of, I think we should, out of respect to the applicants, put that on the agenda for the month. and let's get whatever information we need to make sure we get it out for the board to consider in advance. But if Janelle comes on, or if there's any additional information, please you can provide that. But so far we have what, 5 SLA applications?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Making the note of that when we get to the agenda portion, we'll take care of that. And I apologize in advance. Are there any other committees that I did not call, or does anybody have a report for a committee that I did not call? Okay. I'm sorry, Suki, I see your hand up.
Sir.
Oh, Suki, I'm sorry, you had your hand up. You said you had something you wanted to discuss with public safety?
Yeah, so it's not directly related to public safety, but so the applicants that are coming to public safety, I just wanted to request of the district office that if they're checking off that they want live music or dancing, can you let us know? Because actually, one of the things that's come up under City of Yes for Economic Opportunity is when these establishments are in a C1 or C2 zone, and most of our corridors are C1 and C2, like Rogers, Nostrand, Flatbush, if Franklin, Kingston, and so on. They're supposed to get a special permit from the BSA for these things. It's 73-241. They have to get, if the Board of Standards and Appeals may permit eating or drinking establishments with entertainment but not dancing with a capacity of 200 persons or less for a term not to exceed 10 years, provided that the following findings are made: that such use will not impair the character of future use or development, that it will not cause undue congestion on local streets, that they're subject to the enclosure provisions, which is basically like keep your doors and windows closed. The application is made jointly by the owner of the building and the operators of such eating and drinking establishments. The board shall prescribe appropriate controls to minimize adverse effects on the character of the surrounding area, including but not limited to locations of entrances and operable windows, provision of sound lock vestibules, specification of acoustical installation, maximum size of establishment, kinds of amplification of musical instruments or voices, shielding of floodlights, adequate screening, curb cuts, or parking. So normally the BSA applications, they would have a hearing at the community board before going to the BSA. But, I wanted to suggest as a matter of efficiency that, rather than having them stop at 2 committees, that we can just hold the, kind of BSA part of the hearing at the general board at the same time as the liquor license, just if we can just give out what those criteria are to the board members, so that we can ask our questions or whatever.
Okay.
And let the applicants know that they're supposed to be looking for a special permit.
I think that it's a point well taken, and I think there might be some streamlining the process we might want to look at just in general, just to make sure that when the applications come, there is a consistency from the board in terms of on our checklist, if there are stops that need to be made or sign offs, that those are done in advance. Additionally, I think we also want to make sure there's just even a consistency in terms of the way we approve license. Just one of the things that we've noticed over the last several months is that, when they come in, I think there are questions that or requirements that we're putting on applicants that we haven't always done consistently. So I think it might be one of the things that we would ask for public safety, or we just do in general, in terms of making sure that we are clear in terms of what the requirements are, what the expectations are. So that way, if we have a final close time that we expect an applicant to have, it's consistent across the board, as opposed to we allow one to have 1 o'clock, one to have 2 o'clock, somebody else has midnight. I think we want to kind of look at that in terms of saying, listen, as a board, we want to be consistent with that. And going back to your point about the BSA license, if there are certain other processes that we need to be considering, I'm not sure how even that works with the state liquor license authority, because it doesn't sound like to me that they
it doesn't affect the liquor license. It's specifically for live music and dancing, that there needs in certain zones, which are the C1 and C2 zones, which is pretty much what we have on our retail corridors.
Okay.
And then also, as of now, the dancing is not allowed anywhere except the manufacturing district. So if anybody's asking for dancing, they, you know, they need to either wait for this to, this ban to go away under City of Yes, or they need, there is actually a special permit process, but definitely, I guess just if you can let me know if applications are coming in that are asking for live music or dancing, and let the applicants know that there's a special permit.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to say that we've only seen Dante, check me on this one. I won't say we've only seen one maybe that asked for dancing. Is that correct?
Yeah. Many don't ask for dancing, but what we might be able to do is switch up the language on the stipulations. So when they come to us originally, then we can just ask like, oh, are you going to have live dancing or live music, whatever, check. Did you obtain BSA permit because location is located in C1, C2 zone?
Yeah, I would probably ask them like, what is the commercial overlay district? And so then the other thing that came up is actually another of the applicants, the Ivy Mix at 225 Rogers, that all of the businesses on that stretch of Rogers do not actually have commercial overlay zoning, right? It's strictly residential zoning on that block. But they're legal, I would assume, because they're grandfathered, that, there have been commercial businesses on that stretch for decades and decades. I went back to the 1940s photos, there's stores there, but it can cause issues at times that there is no formal commercial zoning. And that's another thing that's part of City of Yes is, if they're vacant for a certain period of time, then actually their right to remain commercial lapses. So that's another thing that was being addressed under City of Yes.
So, as you say that, then, so as I was going to say, let's review that. Perhaps we want to see what the fallout is in terms of what gets approved through City of Yes, because we may need to look at some of our applications in terms of what the impacts are going to be.
Right.
So
I mean, so our, just to let you know, like the committee's position on the live music and dancing was we don't want to allow it as of right. So, like in terms of consistency of our position with the city and the zoning changes that they're asking for, and, how we behave as a board, my position would be that I would like us to at least, request that the applicants follow the proper process. With respect to the ones that have no commercial zoning and are grandfathered, that's, they may not be in the situation where their commercial zoning has lapsed, but we may just want to let them know that they're in this situation. And they maybe, I would think they're better off like seeking the security of just getting that stretch given commercial zoning. I don't see why it shouldn't have commercial zoning. But that's just to, just FYI that these are all the things that are coming up under City of Yes.
Okay. No, thank you very much for that. Okay. Secretary Watson Lord, I apologize. I know you've had your hand up for a minute. We'll take yours and then we're going to move on.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to give the youth committee report.
Oh, okay then. You know what? So perfect segue. We'll go into youth services and education. You have
okay, good night. Yes. Good night. On our last youth committee, we met on 14th of November. We had two guest speakers. One, Mr. Kirtland, who spoke on 40 careers in youth services. We had the principal of the Jackie Robinson schools, and also Darius Naziria from Everett's Field School. And then we had Principal Peters on behalf of another principal. One of the things we looked at, we're thinking of having a court drive on two levels. The principal of Jackie Robinson, she had requested that, there might be some kids in her school who might need courts, and also one of our committee members, John Beckles, he too spoke about the youth who's coming to his court or to his job, which is in the courts, and not properly dressed, and it hurts him. So we're hoping that in collaboration with our board office, we might be able to start a clothing drive. We are going forward. We are looking at partnerships with the Parks Committee, and we are hoping to, get ahead with our upcoming community fair. Let me also apologize for the absence of our committee chair at this meeting, because as we speak, our youth committee, we are meeting with, I think she's Councilmember Farrakhan at
Assembly member.
Assembly member Farrakhan at I won't call it the Armory, but it's at the, we're having a cookout with her, or we all asked to bring a dish, and we eat with the assembly member. So we are moving ahead and doing things where
At the Jackie Robinson School, I just left her.
Yes, Jackie Robinson. I don't want to say Jackie Robinson School, but it's Jackie Robinson Center. And so we are moving ahead with branching out and having partnerships with other community members, and as well as committee boards and the CB9. Thank you. And I'm at work, so I would not be able to stay too long.
Understood. So there are no action items from the committee at this time,
No,
are there?
we don't, not at this moment.
Okay, all right, then we'll receive the report for informational purposes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam
You're
Secretary.
very welcome. Bye.
Okay, all right. Okay, are there any other committees?
I see hands up in the. I see some hands up.
Okay, I guess we can take the one additional question. Are there any other committee reports? Okay, seeing none, I guess we can take the one question from the community resident. Dante, can you promote Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. She's coming in.
Hello, everyone. I'm sure I was inadvertently removed from the meeting. I had my hand up. I wanted to share some information with you in terms of environmental protection, and that we have a new superintendent. But as always, I feel rushed along. I would rather speak about public safety. There was an action, there was a resolution authored, and there's something that I would like to say from the community about the public safety. Public safety is not reporting this evening.
The chair is not here at this time.
Okay, so again,
Ms. Barnes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that this feels rushed, but I mean, was there a question regarding?
yes, there is a question. Yes, there is a question.
Let her talk.
And Ms. Westerdahl, thank you.
You rushing me, Fred. Is there a question? Yes, there's a question.
We
I'd like
have
to
an
speak.
agenda, and I'm asking if you could please.
Yes, there is a question.
Your question is, ma'am.
Okay, before I say my question, I would like to speak and lead up to the question, if that's okay.
Ms. Barnes, no,
The community would like a ruling from the SLA on the proliferation of smoke shops and liquor dispensaries in our community, alongside the corridor Nostrand Avenue. We are very concerned about what looks to be a takeover, a proliferation of smoke shops and liquor dispensaries. Bijou is poised to sit directly next door to the illegal smoke shop Fly High, which actually we want closed immediately. Nostrand between Empire and Lefferts Boulevard has been a haven for crime, as the data documents. Our children use these 2 blocks to go to school. Let me finish.
Ms. Barnes,
One in St.
listen,
Francis
what
of
is the
Assisi,
question
within the
specifically?
I'm asking for a SLA ruling on to open up Bijou selling liquor next to an illegal smoke shop. Our children and seniors utilize the
Okay.
number 2 and the number 5 train, the B44 and the 43 on a daily
Ms.
basis.
Barnes,
This
and
is
we can
not
look
what
into
we
this.
want.
Ms.
We
Barnes,
have worked
Ms.
hard in
Barnes,
this community to
Barnes,
diminish the crime
Ms. Barnes, we allowed you to come
documented
on to ask a
between
question.
Empire and
And if there is a community request that you have, it's either appropriate at the committee level, or you can let
this
the
is
district
against
office know,
city
or you
charter
can
and
let
the
the
open
district
meeting.
office know, and
This
we
is
can
a
address them at
community
that.
board and the
Ms.
community is.
Barnes,
Oh,
Ms.
what
Barnes,
about
Ms. Barnes,
essential
we
services?
allowed the courtesy
What
of you to
about
come on to ask the
sandwich,
question, but we
soup
can't
and
allow you to
sandwich
monopolize it.
florists? We do not need a
Okay.
bar
Ms.
next to an
Thank you,
illegal
Ms.
smoke.
Barnes.
The community,
Duly
okay, here's
noted.
your question,
Duly
King Fred.
noted.
The
We've heard.
community requests a SLA ruling on open up a bar entitled Bijou at 1017 Nostrand Avenue next to an illegal smoke shop.
Duly noted. We will look into that. Thank you very much, Ms. Barnes.
Can I ask a just a clarifying question, Fred?
Very quickly, Primo. We got to move on.
Yeah, understood. Ms. Barnes, thanks for coming with the question with your point. When you say ruling, did you can you clarify just what you mean by that? Just a little bit more for the SLA committee. If she's still
I'm trying to unmute
online.
myself. Can you
Oh,
hear
okay.
me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. Yes, we would like a ruling from the state. It has to be a law
Oh, from the
against.
state.
Can I
From the
finish?
state. Okay, I was just
It has to
confirming.
be a
Yep.
law against a bar poised and requesting a liquor application next to an illegal smoke shop that our children frequent, and we sit helpless, cannot stop it. I'm asking for a state liquor authority ruling on whether a bar can open next to. It has to be some sort of spaces between these dispensaries of liquor and smoke shops, illegal smoke shop. That's what I'm asking. Is there a law against a bar opening next to an illegal smoke shop around the corner from Middle School 61 and too close in proximity to St. Francis of Assisi, where our children use these two blocks on these corridors on a daily basis, and our seniors? Do you understand the question? I will repeat.
Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you for asking, Primo.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
It is
much,
a
Ms. Barnes.
community board.
Have a good evening, Ms. Barnes.
You
Thank
have
you.
one too. And happy holidays, everyone else who is respectful to the community and has the respect to let
Thank you
me
very much,
speak.
Ms.
I've been
Barnes.
working
Dante,
in this
We're going to
community.
move on in the agenda. Thank you. Okay, so at this point, we have completed our committee check-ins. We're going to have the district manager's report.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the Department of Buildings mailed postcards to owners of 1 to 4 family homes to inform them that they have open summonses on their property. The mailing included the respective summonses as well. The postcard also shows steps on how the homeowner can resolve those summonses. If you know of anyone who received this postcard from DOB, definitely make sure that they respond to it. If they have any questions about it, have them reach out to the board office and I will connect them with DOB so DOB can explain what they need to do to resolve those respective summonses. The alternate side parking rules and suspension calendar has been published. It was in our e-blast this past weekend. Please follow the e-blast, follow it. It's in there. We'll publish it again. We did receive physical copies of it, small physical wallet copies of it in our office. If you know of anyone who would like the physical copy, just have them stop by the board office and we can give them a copy of the alternate side parking rules. Next up, community board applications again are live. Deadline to apply for community board is February 19th. Applications can be filled out online or by paper. If you go onto our news section of our website, you can find the online link, click it, it'll take you to the online form. We also have the paper link there, so if you want to print it out, and fill it out and send it by mail to Borough Hall. You can do that as well. And the link is also in our e-blast as well. We are working in partnership with the American Red Cross to get people to sign up for the Red Cross's free smoke alarm installation program. That we have a flyer in our e-blast. If you click the e-blast, it'll take them to a Google Doc. They'll sign up for an appointment, and then the American Red Cross will visit the home of whomever signed up, and then they will also do a free installation, and they will give a small, like 10 to 15 minute presentation, so to speak, about the information that's provided. So if you know of anyone who needs that, especially if they're older adults, or definitely families with kids, direct them to the e-blast. That flyer is in there. They can click that to sign up. The Prospect Park survey is still alive. It will close December 1st. I definitely want to encourage everyone on here to take the survey. If you know of anyone who hasn't taken the survey or who needs the link, have them reach out to the board office. It's also in our e-blast. We definitely want to get as many people as possible to sign up to take that survey so we can have on record and have an understanding of what's missing in our parks, what's the needs in our park. And so the Alliance can start working with the Parks Department and surrounding communities to enhance our parks moving forward.
Dante, you said it closed December 1st?
December 1.
Well, December 1st is gone.
Oh my goodness. My apologies. All right, thank you for that.
Is it December 1st or is it January 1st?
I believe it's December. I believe it is December. But if not, I will confirm. If it's still active, it will definitely be in our e-blast. Next up, participatory budgeting. So participatory budgeting is live through the New York City Council. We're very fortunate enough to have two of our council members, Councilmember Rita Joseph and Councilmember Crystal Hudson, who are participating in participatory budgeting. If you have an idea for a project that could be funded, you can visit their respective websites. They both have links on there that will send you directly to participatory budgeting page. Also in our e-blast, we do have some flyers for the council members that will direct you to participatory budgeting as well. Let's see. The New York City Department of Sanitation has announced that in observance for Christmas Day, Monday, the 25th, there will be no trash, curbside composting, nor recycling collection on the holiday. Residents who normally receive Monday trash, recycling, or curbside compost collection may place their material out at the curbside Monday evening for collection between Tuesday, beginning Tuesday, December 26th. Again, I just want to encourage everyone, if you know of anyone who is looking to get connected, definitely have them reach out to the board. We want to get as many people as we can signed up for our e-blast. We receive a lot of information for the e-blast. Right now, there are a lot of job postings that we've received. So if you know of anyone who is looking for employment, definitely connect them to the e-blast. But again, send people our way. We want to get people connected to the e-blast. If there is an individual that you know who may not have the means to connect to the e-blast, have them reach out to the board office. They can stop by the board office or call the board office, and we'll figure out a way to get them information if they're unable to get it electronically. Just a couple of administrative items. The calendar will be adjusted upcoming months due to holidays and religious observances. Mia has been sending out calendar invites. I definitely want to encourage everyone to continue to either accept or deny. Let us know, if you're going to be able to attend the committee meetings. We put a tentative schedule up on the website. That schedule is subject to change. right? Things happen in people's lives, so we've got to work with committee chairs and respectives to make these meetings happen. So we try our absolute best to accommodate everyone, but as you can imagine, things happen. So if you want the most up-to-date information, definitely check the website out at the date of the meeting. But again, just note, like, the website will change. For members of the committees, we send out calendar invites, so you should always be apprised of when your committee meeting is going to take place. A couple of the chairs mentioned information and things coming up in the upcoming year, a lot, especially as it pertains to like land use and zoning is going to be coming out. Just check your emails, stay on top of that. I try not to send a lot all in one day, just because, you know, it's a lot of information, but try to stay on top of it. Definitely want to encourage folks to continue to read their emails. And if you have any questions before your committee meetings or anything, or the general board, feel free to reach out to the board office. We're there. Send us an email. We'll respond. And I'm a human being, folks. I want to make it very clear. I am a human being. I have forgotten things before. That's a real thing that happens. So if you've reached out to me or you need something from me, follow up with me. That's would be the professional thing to do, would be to follow up with me. We have an office, we have a phone number, have an email, follow up with me. I want to make it very clear, because I'm in the business of defending myself, that folks like to get onto these calls and make it appear as if the board office is not fulfilling their duties. I know the work that the board office does, because I'm the district manager. I know all the work that we do, and we do a lot of it. We talk to other districts, we talk to other boards, we work circles, we work with organizations. We're doing a lot. So if you ever have any questions about my job, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'm finished with my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Dante. We can take a couple of questions for the district manager. Ethan, I do see your hand up. We'll take you momentarily. Ms. Westerdahl, I do see your hand up as well. Hold on one second. Are there any other questions for the district manager? We're going to close on that. Okay, I see those two hands. We're going to take those and we're going to close on that. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, I'm just checking. Dante, do you see any other hands raised?
Just Ethan and Ms. Westerdahl.
Okay, no, I thought I saw something different for a second. Okay, Ethan, go ahead. You have the floor.
Oh, I think he lowered his hand.
I have two quick questions, or one question, one quick note. First off, the quick notes for Maxine, actually, before Dante got on. I just wanted to clarify that there are laws that do govern where these liquor stores can go, and just, like alcohol serving places. And currently there's a 500-foot limit, I believe, a 500-foot radius. And if there are three or more in that existing radius, then they wouldn't be able to open. And there are not 3+ smoke shops or liquor stores surrounding Bijou, so it wouldn't hinder them. Now, I assume that would also apply for now to smoke shops, since they're quite new and these regulations are still evolving. But yeah, it would be unreasonable to assume that they can't open as the law already exists for the most part. And for Dante, I wanted to ask you, are you always the best point of contact when it comes to speaking to an agency, or, so when you see some kind of egregiously dangerous situation?
Yeah. So, yes, at least for the board, I am, right? So the way that the process works is, when you see something, I'm either in the office or I might be somewhere else in district, report it, right? Report it. If you have a 311, that's great. Photos are great as well. Report those things, and I send them up to the managers that I work with at the city agencies. Now, when I send it to them, this is realistic, because a lot of people think that once you send an email, you're going to get an email back. That's not realistic. That's not how the world works, right? I send an email, I send it to the agency. Now it's incumbent upon that agency to do however they do their processes, internal processes, to find that resolution. And then when they find that resolution, report back what that resolution is. And when I get that information, I report back to the individual who submitted the initial complaint. I'm not going to front. Sometimes agencies are stubborn and they don't want to respond. I mean, look, like, let's be realistic. It's politics. This is politics, right? So all I can do as a district manager is alert them, follow up, make it clear, like, the board is looking for response on this. And agencies, I believe, per the city charter, are supposed to respond. And then get that response to whoever submitted that complaint. So that's how that works. But yes, for the board's sake, I am the best person, the point of contact. And the reason being is because I get that people want to take things into their own hands. That's great, that's fine. But when a committee member emails an agency, now that agency is responsible for communicating with them. And now I don't know this information. And there's always an assumption that because this person has communicated with an agency that I know, and that's not how it works. I also want to make it very clear that agencies are under no obligation to tell me that one of my board members reached out to them. Unfortunately, I have to find this out on my own. And unfortunately, it has hurt some relationships, but I've been able to mend them because people think you're going behind their back. I don't do these things, right? But like, I ask people to give me a shot, like, send me the information. I will be a stickler with agencies. Like, I don't mind doing that. But I just want to make it very clear, like, folks are feeling like they're going to get a 48-hour response. You also have to remember that these agencies, one, are understaffed, and two, are responding to everyone. That means they're responding to the mayor. They're responding to other departments in their agencies, the elected officials, state, city, and federal. Go down the list, right? So, yes, I'm the best person for it.
So we should definitely find some ways to kind of like lessen that gap between the expectation that people might have on what your responses look like and the reality of what's actually going on.
Sure. And, you know, I'm a pretty hands-on person, but what I also don't like to do is just send requests to agencies and waste their time. I've worked in an agency, I've seen requests, right? So, like, sending point requests to get agencies to move on it, those are real things that we can work on, right? Not just random feelings that people are having. When the board or the committee or myself, because I am the district manager, like, I know things, right? If there are issues that are happening and we have specific questions, yes, we reach out to the agency and we can get them moving on things. But you know, if we have to do walkthroughs, I'm down with that. Like, there are things that we can do. But like, I also want to make it very clear that we have to make a relationship with agencies. While they don't always do the things that we want them to do, the reality is that these are human beings that work in these agencies. So treating them bad all the time when they come here is not favorable for us to get things from them. That's just reality of the world. So what I try to do is actually have a working relationship with agencies to get things done. So if anyone ever wants to do a walkthrough, a real walkthrough of substance, or talk about issues, I'm down with that. That's always okay. But we can close that gap.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I got you.
Ms. West. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Westerdahl, your question?
Hi, I'm wondering. Sorry, I haven't seen anyone from Crystal Hudson's office at a meeting, a board meeting or a community council meeting in quite some time. I don't think at all in the session since September. Anna used to come and I used to talk with her about some issues, and I missed that, and I've asked several times, and I want to make sure that she's getting invitations to the meetings, because I believe that in the city charter, like you brought up, that people from these offices, like city council, Brian Cunningham, those offices are supposed to come to our board meeting. Is that true or not? And I'd also like to know if somebody from Crystal's office is if they've been invited and where the meeting is going to be, because I'd like to, send out some reminders for Thursday. I think it's going to be at Major Owens, but then I don't know. I've heard some different information about the meeting for that's usually Thursdays is canceled. Like, what's happening? Please let me know.
Yes. The general board will be Thursday at Major Owens. There
Major
was,
Owens.
yes, at Major Owens, the Betty Carter Auditorium. It will start at 7:30, not 7, just because they have some programming in the room before. So we've got to set up and give them time to get out. Council members, I can't speak to why any council member doesn't send representatives to community board meetings. Our meetings are public. They're all on our listservs. They receive the same, I would say, the e-blast, respectively. They receive the e-blast, so they definitely know when the meetings are. I can't answer to why they don't send representatives. You would have to
So
ask.
you don't send them a special invite like all the council people? Because maybe I'll send one if you if they're not getting because I missed that, and I think it's important.
I hear you, Ms. Westerdahl, but I also kind of feel like they're elected officials, and it shouldn't be the district manager's job to send them an invite. I mean, they represent the community. They should know when these meetings are. But
you're
again,
right.
they do get our e-blast, so they know when they are.
Okay.
Okay.
And if I could just add one thing to that as well. The only grace I'll give is because I know that our schedule, typically we are the 4th Tuesdays of the month. Those first 3 months, we've been a little bit all over the place because of the holidays, observances, and everything else. So our schedule's been a little bit back and forth. So we can give some grace with that. But definitely, I think it's something, Dante, we can talk offline about getting with some of the calendars, the schedulers for the offices, just to confirm that they have the information, and if there are changes to that they're aware of that as well. And we can talk separately about making sure that, listen, we definitely have an expectation. There are members of the community who want to see. So we can share that as well.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on that is Crystal Hudson's office is really good about responding to requests. So if we request for them to be there, definitely a special invitation. I feel like they would be there. So.
But it is in the city charter, right, that they're supposed to come? Like, am I right or am I wrong?
Well, technically, the council members are ex officio members of the board. So usually they would send representatives to the board because they're members.
Okay. I didn't know that.
But we can follow up with that in terms of making sure that the line of communication is open, that they're receiving it. And again, just giving them the gentle reminder. It's like, no, we do want you there because, there are questions that we may need their partnership and influence on as well. So,
yeah, it's just good to have them involved with know what's happening, for us. Yeah. I mean, one or two misses, but every meeting.
Yeah, no disagreement. But again, like I said, I think we give a little bit of grace because of the last few months, just because we've been a little bit all over the place with the scheduling, just because of the holidays and observances. But point taken. Thank you. Okay, all right. We are now going to move on to the chair's report. Okay, I'm up. All right. I think there are a number of items that have been either addressed through the committee reports or the district manager's report. I'm going to try and cut out as many things as possible, but I also want to make sure that there are some things that I wanted to underscore with respect to that as well. So we'll try and go through this quickly. First of all, I wanted to discuss with the executive committee and the chairs about board operations. I think the district manager has already made the notice that there's going to be increased activity due to a lot of stuff. We have a lot of COI stuff, City of Yes stuff coming up. Office of Cannabis Management, those applications, just from what I've heard in a lot of other places in the district, there are a lot. And just from some of the things that we're seeing starting to sprout up in the district, we probably expect a good influx of those as well. We are still navigating through that, how that, the policies, the laws, and how they affect the district, and what expectations we have on any businesses who are applying. But I just ask everybody to be patient, but more importantly, to read the reports. When we get these applications, it is incumbent for everyone to read them, so that way we can ask intelligent questions and we can really make good determinations in terms of what is in the best interest, what we say yes to and what we say no to and why. So I just ask everyone to please be aware of that. And I think that the implication with that is as well as we need members to show up. We were trying to be very transparent about, we definitely knew the first 3 months of the year, we're going to be very crazy just because of the fact that schedules are going to change. Normally we have set dates for meetings to occur. A lot of those had to change. So we need for board members to be flexible with that to the extent we can. We're trying to be as proactive as we can in terms of giving dates in advance so you have that. But we're asking for all board members to please make sure and honor their commitment in terms of we need you there, we need you present. Part of that means, and also I need to be very, very blunt with that as well. Because we have a lot coming up and there's a lot on the agenda, expect long meetings for the next few months. Just because of the sheer amount of work we have to do, we are going to do our best as a leadership team, as a district office, to try and make sure that we are as expeditious as we can be with all the information and all the things we have to do. But the requisite for that is board members have to show up and be committed. And I mean, you know, on board nights, please don't schedule anything for 8:30, 9 o'clock saying we're going to do a quick agenda. We will need to make sure that we're able to do to get through all the business items, to make sure we have the full discussions that these things need to have. Also making sure that we're respectful of everyone's time in terms of doing the homework in advance, doing the reading, looking at minutes, or just targeting the questions to make sure that we're asking the questions that really haven't been answered somewhere else. I also want to reiterate something about the communication. You are going to get a lot of information from the board in terms of emails, the e-blasts that go out every Friday, and calendar invites. Those are critical. We need for board members to please make sure you respond. So this way we are aware of what you know, or we are aware of, you know, the members who are not coming for whatever reasons, or if we have to ask the questions. But it's a disservice to the district and to the board when members do not show up and we do not have quorum and we're not able to fulfill the business of the district. So please make sure we're checking the communications on a regular basis, looking at the e-blasts, because there is a significant amount of information that goes out about everything going on in the district. And we expect board members to hopefully be ambassadors as well and be able to pass that information along. And again, respond to the calendars. If you're coming, please just confirm that you're coming. Don't take it for granted that we know you're coming. And if you're not, that's fine too. Please make sure you respond as well so we can prepare as necessary. Chairs, as long as I have all the chairs on, please also making sure that the board remains in compliance. We need to make sure that all minutes and reports are submitted on time as requested. That is a compliance thing. That is something that is auditable. We need to make sure that we have all those records, that those are submitted. So please make sure you're working with your committees. If there's a secretary or a note taker, to make sure that those are submitted on time, that we can distribute those in time as well to the board, so that way we can have the conversations that are necessary. And again, for the board, for the committee chairs, I just want to make sure that we want to have conversations about making sure our committee meetings are efficiently run as well. In terms of meeting management, we want to make sure that, you know, you have the additional time to dive into materials, but at the same time, we have to be responsible with that time as well, because we have staff that are working out of hours in terms of being able to do that. There is a downstream effect in terms of they get compensatory time for that. But that means that there's time that we have to give them because they're doing that time. So we need to make sure that we're being efficient about the meetings. One last thing about board operations, budgetary items and events. So if you have meetings or events that you are planning, please make sure that you are having the discussions, make sure you are identifying what resources are required. And if there's a financial commitment or financial components, make sure you are documenting that and voting on that in committee. From there, the process, to be clear, is that recommendation comes to the exec, where we can look at it, our treasurer can look at it, and we can understand, and the district manager can look at it, and we can understand what's being requested, what the board is on the hook for. And as necessary, we can try to either, one, if it's something that can be done out of board funds, or if we need to have conversations about how, you know, if there's anybody we should be reaching out to in terms of being partners with these events. But it starts with the conversations happen at the committee level. You outline the plan, what exactly is the expectation, all the resources required, and it moves up from there. And the same with events. To be clear, all those things need to be voted on in the committee. They need to be voted on by the executive committee. So those conversations need to be done in advance of the executive committee meeting, and they have to be approved by the board before you move forward. And that includes if we're inviting people or if we're doing partnerships, that's the information the board needs to have to make a decision. All right, let's try and speed this up from here. Community fair. So this is something that we are looking forward to. We've done 2 successful events over the last couple of years. We are now at the end of 23. We are looking forward to the event coming in 2024. which means that we need to start having those conversations now. I am asking for all committee chairs to please make sure you have those conversations with your committees in terms of what events you would like to see, or if there are certain activities you would like to see. And please start identifying and documenting what those are going to require. We are looking for about a 2-month conversation with this, so I'm asking for your committees to have the conversation in January and in February. By the end of the February timeframe, I would like to have any recommendations and thoughts on that, so that way, if we need to, we can look at the budget, and if we need to engage other people as well in terms of supporting the event, we can do that. But we can't have conversations that go all the way into April or May, because we just may not be able to activate certain resources by that time. So please, for your January and February, please include those on your agendas, come up with whatever ideas and vote on those. So that way we have them in front of us by the end of February. Yes, so as the district manager also said, membership applications for membership on the board are currently open. So those applications are going to be due in February. One of the things we're looking to do is actually have an open house. We've done that the last couple of years. I think it was a successful event. I think it's helpful as well in terms of give some context in terms of what the expectations are, what we do on the board as well for any prospective board members. So tentatively, we are looking at the date of January 18th. We are going to try and send out save the dates as soon as possible, but I'm asking for board members to come and for prospective board members to please feel free to come and ask questions as well, where we kind of share information about what the requirements are for board membership, and as well as talk about some of the work we do here as well. I have one final item as well, and this is an action item for the executive committee. This is for the removal of members. This is one of the harder parts of the job in terms of, we've seen it over the last couple of months. When we have members who don't show up, it affects the board's capacity to work. And for the board members who don't show, it keeps the quorum high, and it means it really jeopardizes our ability to vote. So we have the district office has identified 4 members of the board who have excessive absences, and egregiously excessive absences, where they have not been here for the better part of 6 months at least. So this evening, I'm asking for the executive committee to approve for the forwarding of charges for the following members: Maria Acosta, Paul Pascal, Omari Scott, and Shmuel Zafman. So those items, that's the one action item I have for my report, and we can consider that as part of the voting items. That completes my report. I will entertain questions at this time. Okay, Ms. Westerdahl, I see. We'll take you in a second. Are there any other questions?
Ms. Barnes and the attendees.
Understood. Right now, we're just doing this.
Okay.
Are there any other members? If you want to hold your spot, I recommend you put your hand up now, because we're moving on after this. Okay, seeing none, Ms. Westerdahl, we'll take your question.
Hi, I'm just wondering with the about attendance. The executive board members do not have to serve on a committee, and I think it would be helpful if people on the executive board did serve on committees and were in attendance, at least serving on one committee. I thought that was part of our bylaws, but I brought it up and you said no. So I think we should change that, and it would be good if people were required. I did notice that Dexter Roberts, who's not here, who's member at large, I looked through the attendance for before he ran, and I didn't see him attend a single committee meeting previous to running, and not a single one in like many months. I didn't see his name on a single one. So I find that really odd about attendance, coming to the board meeting, but the committee meetings are where we get the work done, as you said many times, Fred. And I would appreciate if the executive board led by example and was at meetings, at least, say yourself as chair, even attending at least one meeting. I've seen you at meetings, but, I'd like to see Primo, Dexter there, as well as Mr. Roberts, who's not here. So, and I don't think Maya Lagote is on a committee as well. I think it's really important to lead by example and to show up at those meetings and hear what's happening in our community. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. With respect to attendance, and I hate to be cryptic in this way about this. This is perhaps the first round. We are doing a deeper dive in terms of attendance, and we are absolutely going to be looking into committee attendance as well. So there are conversations being had, and potentially we are going to have more names in front of us. Again, this is the not fun part of the job, but again, to the point where, and to your point, I mean, I think we need to be respectful of the commitment to the board, where it's like, you know what, everyone is required to show up for the executive committee. Everyone's required to show up for a committee meeting. That's part of the job, and that's part of the requirement. And attendance counts for both. It's not a matter of you can be a board member but not participate in committees. So we are doing that. We expect to have additional names, unfortunately, probably by next month as well. So when we get to that point. And just in terms of process, per our bylaws, the executive committee approves the charges in terms of the attendance, at which point the board is able to respond after 30 days or within 30 days. Because of the way the board schedule meets, it's a minimum of 30 days before the board can vote. Because of the way the executive and the board meets, it's really going to end up being closer to 45. So, but it's important for us to start the process now, so that way the board has an opportunity to vote on it by next month, make sure that the appropriate amount of time has expired. And it also gives enough time for people who have been charged to respond, in terms of they have an opportunity to come before the next executive committee and explain if there are some extenuating circumstances, as well as be able to go before the board. So that's the process with respect to the removal process. Okay. So yeah, so that's that one action item that I currently have. I thank you for that. We are now going to go on to the agenda setting portion of the meeting. And what we're going to do is we're going to add those items. We're going to add them to the agenda. If there are any items that need to be added or removed, we'll do it at that time. And when we approve the agenda, we are approving those items to move forward. In other words, we're adopting the recommendations of the committees, the respective committees, or the action items that have been proposed. All right, so we're going to open the business session, the public session. Dante, are there any presentations that are scheduled for the month?
No.
Okay, so no presentations. SLA applications, we said we have 5 of them, correct?
Correct.
All right. We don't have that information.
Can you also clarify that I heard that there's, like, on the burner, there's a lot of the cannabis licenses that we're going to have more than 20. Is that true?
They're coming up. Very likely in January, we're going to see a lot of them. So for the new year, expect to see a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to be prepared for that too.
No, absolutely. And that's something I will report on again, and I'll remind the board that it's coming. And I want to say that this is something that's consistent. I've spoken to a number of my counterparts in other districts, and they reported, yeah, some of them deal with 20 or 30 a month. Like, it's almost become this whole other thing in terms of the amount that they're seeing. So it's something that we need to be prepared for, in terms of it is something for the board to review. And we should start taking expectations in terms of what are we looking for and how do we address these things.
Maybe we should make a special committee for that. That seems like a lot of work.
It does, and that is a conversation we can have, but I want to see how it plays out first.
Okay.
And there's some conversations around the process in terms of that. And we can definitely look as a board in terms of, do we migrate that somewhere else, migrate that out somewhere else? But we'll look at that. Okay, so 5 SLA applications. Dante, you and the team will send that out to the board and we'll consider that at that time. Any other, I'm sorry. Yeah, so the 5 SLA applications. You know what, Suki, we'll discuss City of Yes at that time as well. We'll discuss that resolution. So we'll just ask you to give a quick 2 to 3 minute presentation with regards to the resolution for City of Yes.
Sure, can do that.
Additionally, and I guess you get another couple of minutes for the fresh, 975 fresh.
Okay.
Okay. Which kind of works out. So I guess since we're not having the presentations, it'll be an extended period in terms of these applications and resolutions that we have. Okay, after that, we will go into public session. After public session, we are going to go into, acknowledgements. From acknowledgements, we're going to go into the business session. Which we will start with roll call. Approval of minutes. Are we current with the minutes? We have last month. Okay. So approval of November minutes.
Right.
Okay. From there, we are going to go into, I'm sorry, just drawing a blank for a second. Okay, we're going to have committee reports. Again, all chairs, please make sure your reports are submitted. If you have any announcements or updates, limited to less than 1 minute, please. But we will do committee reports, but otherwise we'll acknowledge the ones that have been received for informational purposes. After committee reports, we're going to have the district manager's report. Followed by the chair's report. Then we go into the voting session. Which will consist of the 5 SLA applications. We will have the City of Yes resolution. And we will have the, the 975 Nostrand fresh application. Is it 975 or 875?
975.
Okay, 975 Nostrand, thank you. Okay, once we've completed the voting session, I don't believe we have anything tabled at this time. So then we would go into new business. And we adjourn. Okay, are there any questions regarding any of the items that we've added? Or any unreadiness with any of the items we've added to the agenda?
Want to make sure I got this right. Public section is going to be the 5 SLAs.
Correct.
And then brief synopsis on the City of Yes, and then the 975.
Correct.
Then we'll move into acknowledgements.
Public session.
Oh, okay, yeah, public session. Okay, yeah.
Public commentary, I'm sorry.
Public commentary, right.
Yeah.
All right. Public comment. Okay, and then acknowledgements?
Correct.
And then business session?
Correct.
Roll call, approval of November, committee reports, administrative report, chair report. That's correct?
Correct.
All right, and then voting session is the 5 SLAs and then the 2 ULERT items.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct. And then new business and adjournment.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any questions with regards to any of those items? Okay. Hearing none. Well, actually, if we can record for the record. Dante, can you call the attendance?
Okay, give me 1 second. All right. All right. Just say aye if you're here. All right. Fred Baptiste,
Present.
Primo Lasana,
Present.
Francisca Leopold, Linda Watson Lord, Mina Lagoot,
Present.
Dexter Roberts, Nicholas Almanor.
Present.
Francisca Leopold, Linda Watson Lord, Dexter Roberts. Okay.
Okay, I hear 4 members present. We have a quorum of the executive board. We can vote on the agenda. Okay, so at this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as stated.
So move.
I have moved by member at large Nicholas Almanor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by treasurer Mina Lagout. Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Again, I call, is there any unreadiness with the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we will call the question. Is there any objection to approval by common consent of the exec? Okay, hearing no objection, the agenda is adopted and will be the agenda for the board for our meeting on December 21st. Okay, excuse me. All right, so I believe we have reached the agenda, is the end of the agenda. Is there any other business for the exec to consider at this time?
Just have a quick question, Fred.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
So just to clarify, we'll be voting on the City of Yes resolution, but not the gaming facilities text amendment.
Right, that we're going to defer
Okay.
until January.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, is there any other business for the exec committee at this time?
I just see one hand up in the lobby.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but right now we're only taking the questions from, we're limited to the board members right now at this time. Okay, all right, so with that, so just in closing, I just want to thank everyone for your service throughout this year, for the exec, for coming out, for definitely participating and letting us know what we need to do as an executive body. I hope everyone has a happy holiday season. Everyone stays well. I thank you for all your hard work in 2023. And we look forward to an even brighter 2024. Everyone, thank you so much. Oh, and actually, let me go back 1 second. I did want to make the one announcement for the good of the order, good and welfare, I should say. I did want to acknowledge our public safety chair, Janelle Basil Charles. Her father passed away this month, so the board did send condolences, and I was able to attend on behalf of the board as well. But I just ask for everyone to please continue to keep her in your thoughts and prayers. And as well as I ask, thoughts and prayers for all those who need it in this holiday season. It's a joyous occasion in many times, but sometimes it's sad because of sickness or loss. So we just ask that you keep everyone in mind during this holiday season. Okay, and with that, thanks again. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, and they get shy on me.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Okay, any objection? Hearing none, we stand adjourned. Dante, please note the time, 8:51 p.m. And remember,
Happy
board
Kwanzaa,
meeting,
happy holidays.
exactly.
Happy
Remember, the board
holidays,
meeting, the
everyone.
board meeting is on the 21st. We are on the 21st at Major Owens.
7:30. Okay.
Correct. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a good night. Be